this is Bob from Hobby Concepts back with part 7 of my Hemmt trailer build. You can see how it's coming. We've got some more decking done, underside details, rear bumpers on. It's coming along nicely, pretty exciting build. Also, I'm going to tell you how you can get a set of drawings for this trailer so you can have those if you want to build your own. So let's get started. As I get started on part 7, before I start, I've had a lot of requests for drawings for this trailer, and what I did was I scanned the original drawings that I used, and I have those available. If you want a set, you can just email me. My email is in the description. I'll send you a set for free, and if you want to donate a couple bucks to help the channel, that's fine too. I'll put my email in there with them. This is what they look like. You just print them out. I drew some extra alignment lines on them. So what you need to do is just cut along the edges here. Line it up with the next sheet. There's an alignment line right there. And you can just use a straight edge. Kind of line everything up. And tape them together, and when you get them all taped together, you will have a full-size set of drawings for the trailer. So you just cut them out, tape them together, you'll get a full-size set. There's a top view, and then there's a side view. There's a side view. So that way you can at least get some idea of the layout of the thing. It would be very helpful. So again, email's in the description. Let me know if you want a set and I'll send them to you. Okay, in my last video, part 6, we completed this this deck here and the servo mechanism to drive it. So what I'm going to do now is work on the detailing under the sides here. First thing I'm going to do is remove this and get it out of the way. The first thing I'm going to do is make a lip across the bottom of this. I'll make it out of this 1/2 inch aluminum, and it goes all the way down, so I can just put it on my drawing. And mark the end of it. I'm also going to have to notch it to fit around the servo. And then I'll cut a small piece to do the back end. So I'll cut those out and see what I get. Well, I cut the end of this, notched it to fit around the servo, and it slides in there nicely. But it sticks out too far, so I'm going to use the same trick I used before. I'm going to use a piece of this wood decking to space it out, and that gives me the right amount of lip I'm looking for on the bottom. I will bolt all the way through the aluminum and the piece of wood to make it very, very solid. And then I'll do the same thing back here. I'll use the scrap piece left over from this to make a piece here. This decking wood was just a little bit too thick, so I actually just stripped some pieces of 1/8 inch plywood, and I'm going to glue them in with a little bit of medium super glue. Super glue does not stick well in a situation like this, but I don't need it to bond it on. I only need it to hold it as long as till I drill the holes through it. I'm going to drill holes and bolt all the way through, so the glue is really irrelevant. It's just to kind of hold it in place while I work on it. And So that should give me what I want. I'll drill some holes and bolt this on. Well, I framed in this whole side, so I've got this bottom piece bolted on. I made a little end piece and bolted it on with a spacer. So now I'm ready to sheet this. These 3 screws are sunken. This one didn't matter because it's going to be ahead of where the sheeting's going to be. So what I'm going to do first is frame in the other side identical to this. And then I'll come back and surface this, and I'm still deciding what to use, but I think I'll probably use 16th inch plywood because it'll be easy to glue the supports to. And I'll have to just space this out a little bit in here so it fills in this area and makes it smooth. But yeah, happy with how that turned out. I've got a nice overhang here, just exactly what I wanted. Onto the other side. Well, I've got my my side framing, the framing done. So what I'm going to do now is work on this back bumper. I found this piece of channel in my shop. I've used it for years as a straight edge, but it's a U-shape, so it'll make a nice recessed bumper piece here. So what I'm going to do is cut it to the right length, and then I'll bend a piece of aluminum to bolt it to here. And I want to make sure that it's long enough that my framing here is actually going to be just barely outside the tires. So if the suspension moves, it won't hit it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Here's my cut piece. It's going to mount like this. So what I'm going to do is cut a scrap of aluminum, and then I'll use my Harbor Freight bender to bend it to an angle that's appropriate. I'll bolt it here, and then I'm going to drill holes for my taillights. So here's my piece. It's going to mount like that, but it's going to take just a little bit more bending. So we'll get that done. And there's my bumper. Bracket will bolt on like this, and we'll bolt it on like that, and that'll look pretty good. Later I'll build the lights after I paint everything. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this, drill the holes in that, bolt it together. I just wanted to show that this bracket is set back in so the bumper will sit flush with this edge. The diamond plate actually comes down and curls over. So I'll go ahead and bolt that on. And there's the back bumper. Alright. Onto the sides here. Got to fill this in now and make the angle pieces. Well, I know a lot of the stuff I do isn't highly scientific, but it works. So what I've done is I've taken my drawing here and folded it, and I'm going to mark the locations of the frames with a Sharpie on the bottom here. And that will get me set up to do the next part, which is to build these and install it. So what I'm doing is I've got to sheet this. So I've cut some pieces of 16th inch plywood, and I'm going to cover this side with plywood, and then I'm going to make the braces out of wood. So that's what I'll be doing next. I just mixed up some thin epoxy. So I'm going to use the same method I did for the front deck, which is just to smear some of this epoxy on and bond these wood pieces to the aluminum. It worked fine up front. Should work fine here. And then after I put the little V-shaped braces in, I will coat the entire piece with epoxy to seal it before I paint it. I've already cut my pieces, so they will just lay in there like that. And that. And I'll put a clamp on them to hold them. And do the other side. So I glued on my panels, and they glued just fine. I cut little cardboard template here for my frames, and then cut the frames out of 16th inch plywood. Glued them in. I cut the bottom piece out of a plastic. I'm going to do the T part with a piece of walnut, so I'm going to glue these across here, and then I'll sand them and glue the upper part like that holds on the upper boards. And once that's done, then I'm going to coat everything with a layer of epoxy to seal it, and then I'll prime it. You can see I've got these clamps here to hold it upright while I work on it. When I get this side done and epoxied, then I'll flip it over and do the other side. Well, I've gotten these done. Turned out pretty good. I'm going to now coat this with epoxy and let it dry overnight, and that'll just be my sealer, plus it'll tend to glue everything together. And once I get that done, I'll flip it over and do the other side. Well, this is the look I'm going for when I get this done. So you can see the pieces of 1/2 inch aluminum in here, and the Tamiya wood. So this aluminum is right here, frames in that wood deck. So I'll cut these pieces first and bolt them down, and it'll be like that, and then I'll put the wood pieces down. So I'm going to start by bolting on this aluminum. So you can see what this looks like. This piece I bolted down. I'm going to attach these next, and then this will be filled in with wood. The wood runner's on the outside. This is a 1/2 inch by 1/8 aluminum that I got from Lowe's, and you can see how my side detailing looks. So I'll go ahead and get these down. I was going to bolt them, but the bolts don't, they go right through this angle, so they won't bolt down. So I'm going to stick them down with JB Weld, and that's going to take a day or so to dry. For this operation, I'm going to use regular JB Weld, not the JB Quick. This dries a lot slower, but it's a lot stronger. So we'll mix it, and I'll bond those on. Well, I've got these stuck down with JB Weld, but there's just no good way to get clamps in here. They don't get enough of a bite. So I'm going to take it in the house where it's warm, lay some saran wrap over the top of it, and pile a bunch of books on it. And I'm going to have to let that dry for a day or so, and then we'll keep moving on. I bonded these aluminum strips around the top, put some primer on the edges. So I think I'll wrap this video up. I'm going to go ahead and bolt the trailer back together for some shots. We'll see what it looks like. Well, and here is what I have so far for this this set. You can see the model trailer here with the details underneath. You can see the detailing under here. You see the framing around here, which is this framing. I'm going to lay in the decking on the next video and do the back deck. I also, on this one, did the back bumper. So it's coming along very nicely. It's heavy. It's quite solid. It'll support a lot of weight. I want to be able to hold about 50 pounds. So all in all, turning out pretty good. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you would like a set of 3 full-size drawings, my email is in the description for the video. And as always, I appreciate it if you subscribe. I've got some great new Tamiya truck videos coming up. So keep watching, and thanks again for watching.